Well, we know there's a lot of pressure on some teams, but which teams are those exactly for the NFC side? Let's rock, and I'll get into it. All right, what's going on, guys? My name is Antonio, and welcome back to the All Around Sports Podcast. Today, I am going over my top five NFC teams under the most pressure entering the 2024 NFL season. Now, a lot has changed since last season. The expectations are growing for some individual teams. But which teams exactly are under the most pressure? Because we all know sometimes they have them shaking in their boots, and sometimes it all just comes collapsing in a near snap. But anyways, if you guys do enjoy this video, please be sure to hit that like button down below. I am trying to hit 400 subscribers before the beginning of the next NFL season. So, if we could hit 400 subscribers before the beginning of the first game of the NFL season next year, which is on September 5th between the Ravens and Chiefs, that would mean a lot to me. So, for now, let's get this video underway. Starting us off at number five. I put this team on there because they recently got a quarterback signed on there that has risen this team's expectations to maybe winning their division in a wide open division, pretty much. You got the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Falcons, they've improved since last time, adding Rasheem Morris as their new head coach after firing Arthur Smith, who is now the OC at Pittsburgh, which may not help him grow in Pittsburgh. But this team is one of the five teams under the most pressure because their offense was terrible under Desmond Ritter, Taylor Heineke, and also Marcus Mariota. Now you bring in Kirk Cousins, who has been an amazing quarterback throughout his career and has one playoff victory on his record. And he could win the division because he's basically pretty much the best quarterback within the division, other than, of course, Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But for the Falcons, they need to win the division this year if it's going to be considered a successful season because the Falcons, they got one of the best offensive rooms in the NFC South. They got Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and loads of other pieces around them. But this team is under one of the five teams on the most pressure. That's why I have the Atlanta Falcons coming in at number five. At number four, this team wasn't expected to even make the playoffs this last season, but surprisingly shocked everybody after the bad man left. You got the Green Bay Packers that spanked the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs this past year. But anyways, I just had to do that to troll the Cowboys a little bit. But the Green Bay Packers have a lot of pressure riding on their shoulders because after this season, they are now considered a Super Bowl contender, which I can agree upon because they've got a really good offense. You now have Josh Jacobs, A.J. Dillon, you got Christian Watson, and also along with Romeo Dobbs, and a few other guys that I cannot name at this exact minute. But their defense is going to get stronger. Their defense has a new coordinator, and they still have they brought back a few of their pieces, including Jair Alexander, and getting a few pieces in the draft. And one of them, I believe, if I remember correctly, was Javon Bullard, or Bullock. I don't know exactly his last name. But that dude I could see being a really good piece. And loads of two other safeties in the draft that I cannot name at this exact minute. But the Packers are a really good team. And they're going to have a lot of expectations on them this year because of what happened last season. So that's why I have the Packers at number four. At number three, this is one of the teams I have the utmost respect for. They broke a 30-year drought of winning their division and a 32-year drought of playoff victory and NFC Championship appearance that, of course, gave up the 24-7 lead in the NFC Championship this past year. You got the Detroit Lions. The Lions got a few new pieces around them, including Terry and Arnold to pair up with his former college teammate, Brian Branch. And you also bring in DJ Reader, which I don't know about everyone else, but I was pretty surprised on why Cincinnati didn't even think about re-signing him.
I don't know. I never counted. I am not really a math guy.
But anyways, the Lions, after making the NFC Championship appearance, now they have a lot of expectations on them because now it's pretty much a Super Bowl or bust for this team. That's the state of point that they've risen to. And I do see them making the NFC Championship again, and maybe potentially even making the Super Bowl, because we all know that sometimes the defending NFC champion never gets there. We all know that. But this team is going to be one of the highest to watch. The Lions are going to be really good this upcoming season. The one game on my calendar for this team is not only the week 4 game they have against my team, which is of course the Seattle Seahawks, that are 9-1 against the Lions for the last 10 matchups, but also a game I consider a Super Bowl preview in week 10 against the Houston Texans. That game is going to be a must-watch game. That one's going to be a must-watch because it'll tell us a lot about these two teams. But the Lions, I got at number 3. At number 2, of course, this team is on there because they are highlighted as America's team, and also because of their history of choking in the playoffs, known as America's biggest joke in my eyes. You got the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, I was debating them between the two teams I have up there, but I ultimately ended up leading them down at number 2 because the Cowboys, they lost a lot of weapons after losing to the Green Bay Packers without the bad man in the playoffs. But anyways, I just had to. Sorry. But the Cowboys, they got Ezekiel Elliott back, which is probably going to play center again. And also along with a few other pieces, like we all know what is going to happen with Stephon Gilmore. He's already currently a free agent. You still got Trevon Diggs. You still got Micah Parsons. You still got CeeDee Lamb. And you still got Dak Prescott, who is good from September, October, November, and December. But when it hits January, when it hits playoff time, that's when palms get sweaty, and then kaboom, they all of a sudden choke. But the Cowboys, they have always been in this position because they are the team under the most pressure because of the star that they have on their helmets. But that's why I have the Dallas Cowboys at number 2. At number 1, the team under the most pressure this season is, of course, the defending NFC champion that lost in the Super Bowl again, which is, of course, the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers came into the Super Bowl last year with every single piece you could deem imaginable. You had all the pieces you could to win a Super Bowl, and you couldn't do it once again. But the Niners are up here because, one, they have Kyle Shanahan as their head coach, who is currently on the hot seat for the 49ers because he's been to 2 Super Bowls with the 49ers and 1 with Atlanta. All three of those losses have come from 10-point leads. The 2 times with 49ers have both happened against the Kansas City Chiefs, which the Niners are pretty much afraid to even go against Kansas City with Mahomes still there.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
But anyways, the 49ers have the most pressure on them because And number two, they have the most stacked roster in the NFL. You got Christian McCaffrey, Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. We're still waiting to see what happens there. George Kittle and Brock Purdy on offense, and then you still got Bosa, Fred Warner, and then also along with Jeremy Ward. And they still got all those pieces, but they lost a few. They lost Chase Young, Eric Armstead, Steve Wilks, their defensive coordinator, and they lost a few other pieces as well. But the Niners are at the most pressure because this is a make it or break it season for Kyle Shanahan. If he cannot win a Super Bowl this year, he's going to be out of San Francisco in a blink of an eye. Because you cannot have the most stacked roster in NFL history and eventually choke in the playoffs and choke in the Super Bowl. You need to at least win a Super Bowl because your team is a Super Bowl or bust team. The 49ers have not won a title since 1995, which was back when Joe Montana and Steve Young were your quarterbacks. This team has not proven themselves worthy because every time they go to a Super Bowl, they have ended up choking. Every single time. Let me go over the last few years for the 49ers as far as Super Bowl appearances. 2013 Super Bowl, Super Bowl 47, lost to the Baltimore Ravens and Ray Lewis in the power outage game, and then went on to lose the following season in the NFC Championship game to Richard Sherman and Micah Crabtree going at it in probably the most memorable post-game conference in NFL history, and also along with the Super Bowl 54 instance where you had a 10-point lead at the end with about 7 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter in the game. And you gave that up to the legend that we now all know to this day as Patrick Mahomes. And then you got this recent Super Bowl where you have the most stacked roster in the NFL all of a sudden to go on ahead and choke another 10-point lead as Kyle Shanahan has done in the past. The 49ers are at the most pressure this season because Kyle Shanahan's on the hot seat. You got a stacked, loaded roster, and the NFC is still wide open. But although the Rams and Seahawks are going to be competitive in that division this upcoming season, Rams questionable because of the loss of Aaron Donald, and also along with the other teams in the NFC like the Lions, Packers, the Cowboys if they're even good, which we all know they're frauds, and also along with the Eagles and maybe the Falcons. Who knows what's going to happen there? But the Niners are the one team with the most pressure of the NFC this season. So to recap the list, I have the Niners at number 1, the Cowboys at number 2, Lions number 3, Packers number 4, and the Falcons coming in at number 5. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What team do you think has the most pressure on them coming into the NFC this season? Now, it cannot be a team that's not in the playoff picture. So we'll see what happens, but I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you all in the next one. Ciao for now.